Good morning to everybody. Today we are going to continue the resistive transducers, especially the strain gauges. Okay. Last class we have been discussed about the various types of strain gauges: unbonded type, bonded type, rosettes, and semiconductor strain gauges. So So this is a bonded strain gauge. This is unbonded type strain gauge. This is the various this connecting leads. Everything we discussed in the last class. So the important specification for strain gauge is gauge factor of the strain gauge. So gauge factor is nothing but the ratio between per unit change in resistance to per unit strain. Okay, so change it per unit change in resistance to per unit strain. This is gauge factor. The gauge factor value normally varies from 1.5 to 2.5. This is most of the case the gauge factor vary from 1.8, 1.5 to 2.5, especially for semiconductor strain gauges 50 to 150, very large values of gauge factor for semiconductor type of strain gauge. The nominal value of the strain gauges are 120 ohm, 350 ohm, and 1000 ohm, etc. Another important specification for the strain gauge is optimum gauge current or maximum current to avoid self-heating error. See, the various types of strain gauge materials are Constantan, isoelastic, Karma, Monel, silicon. These two, the last to see called semiconductor type, using silicon in P type and N type only. The gauge factor value for P type semiconductor type of strain gauge varies from 100 to 170. Whereas for normal metal alloys having the gauge factor from maximum of 3.5. Okay, maximum of 3.5. See, normally it is varying from 1.2 to 2.5 only. So the Constantan is also called advanced alloy. See, advanced alloy and the nichrome. Okay, nichrome. These two alloys are mostly used in strain gauge manufacturing. Okay, so this is an example for a bonded type strain gauge. This is used for angular displacement, whereas this is for linear displacement or linear force, tension or compression. These two are unbonded type. So this is best example for application for unbonded type of strain gauge. This type of movable plate, when the bottom plate is fixed, this movable frame, this fixed frame, this is the fixture. There are four stretched strain gauge wires. So among that, when you apply force or apply this joint to some field, these two wires 1 and 3 are subject to tension, and 2 and 4 are subject to compression. So when it exists for compression, there will be a buckling effect. Okay, so buckling effect in this, when it is subjected to compression, then buckling effect. So you have to avoid buckling effect in order to have a good response from this. This is blood pressure measurement setup. So blood vessel. So we insert some small vein type of thing to the blood vessel. So this blood pressure, okay, the blood flows through this. So due to increasing change in pressure, it applies. Okay, when change in pressure, this piston moves towards this side. Depend on pressure, it moves to this side. So when it moves this side, so this displacement happens on both sides. So when it moves this side, R1 and R3 subjected to tension, and R2 and R4 subjected to compression. So based on the change in these four wires are connected, can be connected across 4 arms of the Wheatstone bridge. 4 arms of the Wheatstone bridge. Okay, this is the best example for in the medicinal field. So blood pressure measurement using strain gauge. So these four arms can be connected across four arms of the Wheatstone bridge, and they again connected to amplifiers and calibration and etc. So these are all rosettes. What are all rosettes? Normally all the strain gauges are can be used to measure only the collinear forces in the center of gravity of the metal. Okay, center of gravity metal. So if you want to measure in a distributive where the strain is distributive, so it is not in a uniaxial. When the strain is not uniaxial, in that case we go for rosettes. There are different type of rosettes. This is 90-degree rosette. This is rectangular rosette. This is delta rosette. This is 45-degree rosettes. This is 45-degree rosettes. This is 90-degree rosettes. This is rectangular rosette. This is delta rosette. So it is the form of delta. This is a simple cantilever beam. When we apply a pressure force here, so the maximum strain developed here. Okay, this is a recapture about the strain gauge and rosettes. So these are all different type of bonded strain gauge. I will show you. This is the size, normal size of the strain gauge. You see here. This is the normal. You see, this is normal size of the strain gauge, very small. Understand? So this is very small. You see, you can see the lead wires and other connections, the bonded strain gauge. So we are having the various type of strain gauge in our laboratories. You can see this. This is the strain gauge, sizes of strain gauge we are having in our laboratory. This is bonded type strain gauge. We can bond wherever you want to measure intended to measure the strain. You simply bond here. So you see, you can realize the size of the strain gauge. See, the strain gauges are 4 mm width, 3 mm width, 5 mm length. Okay. So these are all different type of wire type, foil type. Okay. So different type of paper tube type, then gauge wire, copper conductors, foil type. There are different type of strain gauges. So let us see the signal conditioning for strain gauges. Signal conditioning for strain gauges. So for to convert the change in resistance into the voltage for displaying the strain value, we go for strain gauge signal conditioning circuit for the strain gauge. So input to the strain gauge is pressure or force or strain or stress. Output is change in resistance, gauge resistance. So again, this output is converted into voltage, change in voltage using Wheatstone bridge. So Wheatstone bridge is the primary conversion element. It is called primary conversion element. So strain gauge, if say the strain is detected in the process, measurement is strain. So change in resistance from the strain gauge is converted into change in voltage. So to convert from change in resistance to change in voltage, there are different circuits we already seen in the last class. So basic circuit is ballast circuit, then quarter bridge, half bridge, full bridge, then temperature for the temperature compensation of the bridge, then how to calibrate the sensing setup, how to calibrate the strain gauge in a setup, in a circuit. Okay, these are all the important topic. So we already seen the ballast circuit. Ballast circuit is nothing but a simple fixed resistance, then your gauge resistance. So it is excited by a voltage, normally 0 to 10 volts or 15 volts. So this is the fixed resistance. So So this is fixed resistance R. This is the gauge resistance Rg. This Rg equal to R plus del Rg. Okay. So we are taking output here. The change in output also we seen in the last class. So change in output from this bridge is nothing but delta V naught equal to R plus R into Rg divided by R into Rg divided by R plus Rg the whole square into gauge factor into epsilon. Okay, so this is gauge factor into epsilon. This is the output deducted from the ballast circuit. Next is, say you see this is a laboratory setup in our transducer measurement lab. So this is cantilever beam. So this is a cantilever beam. So this end is fixed, this end is free. We can load, we can apply force using known weights, calibrated weights, 100 gram, 20 gram, 30 gram, 40 gram, etc. You can place weight here. So when we apply load, increasing the load, the strain here, the two strain gauges bonded here. Okay, you could see inside our laboratory, you can come and see that. So two strain gauges, the two strain gauges wires are connected through this RS-232. It is a connector. Okay, it is a connector. It is connected to the internal circuit of the signal conditioning board. Okay, this is the schematic representation of two strain gauges in the Wheatstone bridge, which is connected to the bridge. So two strain gauge. Then this is amplifier. The amplifier along with the gain increasing as well as initial zero adjustment. There are two parts are available. This is zero adjustment part. So initially, when the pan is empty, you should see the display. So when there is no strain, when there is no load, the display should show 0, 0. Okay, only 0, 0 in the display. If it is not showing 0, then using this part, adjust and bring it to 0. Then you start process of your measurement. Okay, this is the cantilever beam, simple cantilever beam experiment using strain gauges. Okay. So Wheatstone bridge, gain amplifier, zero adjustment, then display. I will explain what is the 3.5 digit display. Normally, most of the display in our industry uses 3.5 digit. Okay, I will explain what is meant by 3.5 digit in the next slides. So this is about a simple experimental setup to how to measure the strain developed in a cantilever beam using strain gauge. Next is quarter bridge. So this quarter bridge is nothing but when we bond only one strain gauge, when use only one arm of the Wheatstone bridge, you say simply bond one strain gauge here. This is one strain gauge. So two wires of the strain gauge connected here. So this arm is replaced by the connecting leads of the strain gauge. So this is real field strain gauge. This strain gauge is bonded over the cantilever beam. So when we apply force or tension force here, the strain gauge resistance increases. So this since it is tensile force, R is increased. So R plus Rg equal to R plus del R. The other arms of the resistance are equal to the nominal value of the strain gauge. Okay. So according to the Wheatstone bridge, the output from the Wheatstone bridge is, see, the output from the Wheatstone bridge is either change in upper two arms voltage or change in the down two branches. That is a let us mark it as A node, A, B, C, then D. Okay. So either the V naught is nothing but either the V naught is nothing but either this VAB minus VAD or VBC minus VDC. Okay, either difference between two upper arms or difference between two down arms. Okay, so if you consider this arm, so let us find the V naught equal to, here I consider VAB minus VAD, either upper or bottom, no problem, you will get V naught. So V naught is VAB minus VAD. So what is VAB? This drop, this is a potential divider principle. So R plus del R divided by R plus del R plus this R. So totally 2R. So if you substitute and simplify, you will get this. So when compare with the the bottom, consider the bottom, you see this 4 value is very much greater than 2 times del R by R. Del R by R is nothing but your change in resistance to original resistance. The change in resistance in the order of micro. So this can be negligible. So remaining is del R by R V in divided by 4. So this del R by R is del R by R divided by epsilon or epsilon strain. This is equal to Koch factor. So what is del R by R? Instead of del R by R, we can substitute Koch factor into epsilon. So Koch factor into epsilon is substituted in terms of del R by R. So finally we will get V naught equal to GF Koch factor, strain value V in by 4. So from Koch factor is constant, the V in is constant, so 4 is constant, so V naught is directly proportional to the strain. So what will be the strain value we detected by means of this bridge? The strain value you can easily find 4 times V naught divided by Koch factor into V. Similarly, for off bridge, we can bond one strain gauge on the top, another strain gauge on the bottom. Okay, bottom. So one strain gauge is subject, when we apply force here, the top strain gauge, this top arm of the strain gauge is subjected to tension because the cantilever beam bends like this. So this top subjected to tension, the bottom strain gauge subjected to compression. So compression R minus del R, R plus del R. So if you substitute similar to the previous, if you apply same rule, you will be getting this relation. So you will get simply V naught is del R by R divided by 2 V in. So instead of del R by R, we can substitute gauge factor into strain. So gauge factor into strain into V in by 2. So what do you infer from here? So previously quarter bridge for this, the gauge factor strain into V in divided by 4 times 1 by 4. Here 1 by 2. So here what is the detected strain? 2 times V naught divided by gauge factor into V. So here the sensitivity of the bridge, the sensitivity of the strain gauge circuit is 4 times very less sensitivity. If you go for half bridge, 2 times, more than 2 times when compared with quarter bridge. So it is slightly increased. When you go for full bridge, so your upper two arms, these two, this strain gauge and this strain gauge connected in the top, and the bottoms to these 2 strain gauges in the bottom. When you apply force, the upper 2 strain gauges subjected to tension, the bottom 2 strain gauges subjected to compression. So for tension, resistance increases, compression, resistance decreases. Okay. So when we apply the same principle, we will get, see, you see here, R plus del R, the R plus del R divided by total R plus del R plus R minus del R. minus the difference between these two. Okay, these two. So R minus del R divided by R minus del R and R plus del R. So you will get 2 del R by 2R, 2 cancel, 2 cancel. Finally, you will get only del R by R into V in. So instead of del R by R, we can put GF into epsilon del R by R. Instead of del R by R, GF into epsilon into V in. So the sensitivity of the full bridge is increased. Okay, increased to 4 times than the quarter bridge, 2 times than the half bridge. So the strain measured using this bridge is equal to output voltage divided by Koch factor into V. Next is very important concept is temperature compensation. How to compensate the temperature? Why? Because all the metals are sensitive to temperature. Okay, since strain gauge is say this strain gauge is connected to a cantilever beam. Okay, the cantilever beam. This strain gauge is bonded here and connecting to the field. So this say this is the V0, this are fixed resistances R and R, but this strain gauge alone bonded over the field. Okay, this strain gauge. Suppose you forget about this strain gauge, we are not considering this strain gauge. We consider this strain gauge alone. So this setup is calibrated normally in the 25 degrees Celsius. But you know, during summertime, the resistance, the temperature very increases more than 25 degrees Celsius. When temperature, actually, the strain is developed in the medium. I will show you. What is the purpose of this strain gauge? The strain gauge is intended to measure strain developed in the cantilever beam. Okay, so this strain is directly proportional to change in gauge resistance del R. Okay, so the strain gauge, the strain developed here in the field, the strain developed in the cantilever beam is detected using the strain gauge whose nominal value is R plus the increasing del R to increasing strain or increasing tensile strain. So this strain gauge is only intended to measure this strain only, strain developed in the field, whereas this metal also sensitive to temperature in the surroundings environment. So some temperature in the environment. So as you know that all the metals resistance are directly proportional to change in temperature. So this R, the nominal value of the resistance, this metal foil or metal wire also sensitive to del T. Okay, suppose if the resistance, gauge resistance is 120 ohm, the change in resistance change in resistance developed in the strain gauge is increased by 0.001. Okay, 0.001 ohm. See, the change in resistance in the gauge, strain gauges are very, very small. That's why the strain developed in the field also we normally express in terms of micrometer per meter. So in the order of micro. Okay. So when we apply a force here, this strain gauge detects del R, that is the value is 0.001 ohm. Whereas because of the temperature, this strain gauge also sensitive to the temperature. For the temperature, this resistance increases to 0.001 ohm. Assume this 0.001 not 1 ohm due to the temperature, environmental temperature. So so along with del R, this del RT, this del RT is the change in increase in resistance due to temperature. This del RG is gauge resistance, change in resistance, gauge resistance due to the strain developed in the field. Because of this increasing resistance due to the temperature, the voltage output is also vary. So there is a error. There will be a definitely error. How to avoid this del RT? So how to avoid del RT? That is the process for temperature compensation. To avoid del RT, okay. To avoid del RT, what we have to do is we have to fix one more strain gauge here, but this is exposed to only surrounding the environment. This is not bonded in the field. This is not bonded here. So this is simply exposed near to the cantilever or near to the process. So this strain gauge also the wire taken from the field, near the field, but it is not, it should not be bonded over the process. So it is very close to the process. So this strain gauge detects change in strain and change in temperature. But this strain gauge only detects this already has a nominal value of gauge resistance. Okay, nominal value of the resistance is R. Then since it is not subjected to any tension, but it is connected in the opposite arm here, another arm. So there is a minus del RT. Okay. So actually it is connected to the signal conditioning circuit, but not connected to the process or bonded over the process. So whenever there is an increase in temperature, this strain gauge increases. This strain gauge increases by the resistance due to the strain as well as temperature. But this strain gauge increases, it senses only for del T. Okay, only for temperature. So when you find out the output voltage, so these two together cancel. So this del RT and this del RT cancel. So finally the circuit is detects only the change in strain. So the strain gauge which is bonded over the process called active strain gauge. The strain gauge which is not bonded over the process, but it is exposed to the atmosphere very near to the process. So this strain gauge is called dummy strain gauge. This strain gauge called active strain gauge. Examiner may ask, what are dummy gauges? Dummy gauges are not bonded over the process. It is exposed to near to the process. So that dummy gauges are mainly intended for temperature compensation of the strain gauge circuitry. This is about temperature compensation. So for temperature compensation, which is used mainly dummy gauges. So it is not bonded over the process. So this is the signal conditioning circuit for strain gauge, the cantilever beam, whatever inside the circuit. So this Wheatstone bridge network. This is wrong. These two strain gauges bonded nearer to the fixed portion. So two strain gauges connected to the cantilever, Wheatstone bridge, then connected to instrumentation amplifier. So this is instrumentation amplifier. This is the gain amplifier. which increase, you can adjust the gain as well as 0. This is VCC. So this part is used for 0 adjustment. This part is adjusted for gain adjustment. So you can increase or decrease the gain by adjusting this 100K part. This part is for this also 100K part. This fine part is used for 0 adjustment. Okay. So the strain value from 0 to 1000 micro, say 1000 micro strain, 1000 or 100 micro strain, micrometer per micro strain means micrometer per meter. It's not microsecond. Micrometer per meter is calibrated here, say 0 to 2 volt. 0 to 2 volt. So this is the digital display. I will first tell about this. This is the digital display. Input to the display is just 0 to 2 volt. The output in the display is 1999. That is 0 to 2 volt converted into 0 to 1999. That is 2000 counts. 199. So when we give 2 volt input here, when we give 0 volt input, here only 3 digits are showing 0, 0, 0. This fourth digit is not coming. When we give 2 volt here, full count 1999 will be displaying here. So this is a 3.5 digit display. Okay. Using this, you can calibrate the value depend on the microstrain. When we get a 2 volt output here, the maximum strain of 1000 micrometer per meter is developed. So that is displayed as not this digit. So 1999. So simply you should not make decimal point here. So also minus not here. So when we get 2 volt, it is displayed as 1000 microseconds. Sorry, 1000 microsecond. For 1000 microsecond, 0 to 1 volt. Sorry, 0 to 1 volt. 0 to 2000 micro strain, then 2 volt. 0 to 2 volt. Because when 1000 micro strain is there, 1 volt is coming. So 1000 counts will be displayed. 1000 counts. So in the 1000 counts is calibrated as 1000 micro strain. Just you put a sticker here. 1000 micro strain. Understand? 1000 micro strain. This is the calibration of digital instruments. Based on this 3.5 digit display is simply convert voltage into counts. Whatever displaying here is count. Okay. So the count is calibrated in terms of whatever physical parameter we need to display here. Even suppose temperature 0 to 100 temperature 100 degrees Celsius for a temperature sensor, you can convert, you can make it as 0 to 1 volt. So if you apply 1 volt here, you can make decimal, it will be displaying 1000 counts. So you can make display here. So what do you get? 100.0. That case, in that case, temperature display you put here as degree Celsius. Understand? Degree Celsius. So this is the digital measurement calibration. Next is load cell. So the process and all same. Okay, same strain gauge. This is the load cell setup. So inside the load cell, there is a S shape. You see, there is a S shape. So except this process cantilever, remaining things are same. Only thing is we have to calibrate the display. So this is the load cell. You see, inside the load cell there is a S-shaped beam. Inside the load cell there is a S-shaped beam. So this is a S-shaped beam. In this S-shape, S-shaped, short-shaped, right? So in the top we apply load. Load cell is measurement of load. In the bottom also we can connect a plate for sitting the setup. In the S shape, one strain gauge is bonded here another strain gauge is bonded here. When we apply the force here, this strain gauge is subjected to tension, this subjected to compression. So these two strain gauges are connected to, say, these two strain gauges. This is in, yes, the top one. So the bottom one is here, two connected to a Wheatstone bridge, then the signal conditioning circuit with the instrumentation amplifier, then gain amplifier, finally display. Say this load cell is range from 0 to 10 kg. 10 kg is a small strain gauge load cell, 0 to 10 kg. So the strain gauge, the signal conditioning output from the gain amplifier is made 0 to 1 volt. Okay, so 0 to 10 kg connected to 0, converted to 0 to 1 volt. So 1 volt, when you're getting 1 volt here, 1000 counts. So you have that, in that case you have to make a decimal here. Okay, not here. So these are all 00. Understand? So 10.00. So can you tell me the resolution of this digital instrument? Here, when we go for 3.5 digit placing here, the resolution is 0.01 kg. 0.01 kg is the resolution of the digital instrument. Understand or not? So this is inside the load cell. Understand? S-shaped load cell. Understand? Okay. So what is meant by load cell? Load cell used to measure load or weight of the device. This setup is used in the grocery shop, Malay shop. The weight the digital weight measurement system uses this type of setup. Okay. Our next discussion is about calibration of strain gauges circuitry. Okay. Normally, calibration involves in 3 stages. You know that calibration involves 3 stages. What are the stages of calibration? Normally, calibration begins with 3 stages. One is zero adjustment, 0. Then next is span. Third one is linearity. Okay, ZSL. Z is nothing but zero adjustment. Calibration is nothing but comparing with comparing the test instrument with the standard. Suppose this test instrument is having an accuracy of 10% error, 10% accuracy, 10% accuracy. This is test instrument. This is standard. So the standard instrument accuracy should be 0.01, at least 0.01% accuracy. So we have to compare the test one instrument or transducer or any device. We should compare with the standard. So to compare the standards, we require these 3 stages. First, give zero input from the standard. Check the instrument whether it is showing 0 or not. Next, give the entire range, that is full range of the instrument, that is called span, the maximum value. Then linearity. This linearity is nothing but mid value check. Suppose when we compare the standard with some instrument, say one instrument obeys, suppose one instrument when compared at 0. So this is input, this is standard input, this is the instrument response, the test instrument response. So when we give 0 input using the standard, check the test instrument output. It also gives a 0. It is also giving 0. It is okay. Next, we are applying the maximum value, the span value. Check the instrument. It will also show the same value, that is here. So the one instrument responds to both levels, zero check as well as the span check. But during from zero to span journey, the instrument may travel like this, or the instrument may travel like this. But all the instrument or transducers should behave linearly. If it behave linearly, then only we can able to utilize the instrument for the measurement applications. So to avoid this type of path, we should always check the linearity. But for linearity, we should use the mid value. That is mid value. So this mid value check for linearity check. See this mid value, if you join these three, it gives a linear. So the calibration involves three stages: zero, span, and the linearity check. Linearity check is nothing but mid value check of the instrument. So this is generalized calibration procedure. Whereas when we measure the strain, say this is a strain gauge, okay? So this is bare strain gauge. When we measure this bare strain gauge, we will be having some gauge factor for this strain gauge. When we bond this strain to the process, when we bond this strain, okay, when we bond this strain gauge to the process, say cantilever beam. After bonding the strain gauge in the process, its property totally varies. So we may not able to calibrate this strain gauge. For that, a simple procedure is suggested by the ISA. So that is nothing but this is the gauge, strain gauge bonded in the field. Okay, bonded in the field. So this setup, this we are getting del V naught here output. This is a Wheatstone bridge circuitry. So what is how to calibrate? So frequently we have to calibrate the instrument for better accuracy. So periodically we should calibrate the setup using a shunt resistor. This is called a shunt resistor. It is connected shunt resistor. So this resistor is RSH. Shunt resistor RSH with a switch. Yes, this is a switch. Whenever you want to calibrate the setup, you switch on the switch. Okay, close the switch. So close the switch, then measure the output. Okay, then we can follow the procedure to design the shunt resistor also. If you want to calibrate the setup, you can design a shunt resistor and place it here. Then you will get a standard value. Okay, so assume these are all normal value of resistor, that is fixed resistances, whose value is equal to nominal resistance value of the strain gauge here. Okay, this is another strain gauge. This may be for temperature compensation. So this is dummy gauge. Consider this is dummy gauge. This is active gauge. This is shunt resistor, which is to be designed for a particular value of strain. So assume now we close the switch here. So after closing switch, what is the equivalent resistance across the arm? Across this arm. So that after closing the switch, what will be the changing resistance? Because when we parallel the resistance decreases, not increases. If you connect two resistance in series, the resistance increases. This you know, right? So when you connect a resistance across in parallel with the strain gauge, that what happened to the change in resistance? So the change in resistance is so the change in resistance is the normal resistance value of the strain gauge minus parallel combination Rg into RSH plus Rg plus RH. If you multiply this and this, Rg square minus Rg square Rg square into Rg into RSH minus Rg into RSH. This RG and RSH and Rg and RSH cancel each other. Remaining is only Rg square. So in the numerator, Rg square. So del Rg is equal to Rg square by Rg by Rs. If you bring one R here, you can get del Rg by R. That is del R by R. What is del R by R? Del R by R is nothing but del R by R is nothing but equal to gauge factor into epsilon. Gauge factor into epsilon. So del Rg by R, you know that we already discussed, equal to gauge factor into strain. So gauge factor into strain. So del Rg by Rg. From this expression, what is strain? 1 by gauge factor. This gauge factor comes here. 1 by gauge factor into del R by Rg by Rg. So we are getting this expression. So strain. So 1 by Gf. What is, instead of this del Rg by Rg, you can substitute this value. What is Rg by Rg plus Rh? Okay. So this is the procedure for estimating the strain value, or we can determine we can design the shunt resistor for a particular range of strain. Let's see some simple problem. See, consider a strain gauge of Rg 350 ohm and a gauge factor of 2.82. Calculate the equivalent strain if the resistance of 100,000 kilo ohms is shunted across the strain gauge. So the shunted resistance RSH value is given. RSH is 1000 kilo ohm. The gauge factor GF is 2.82. GF gauge factor GF equal to 2.82. This is the nominal value of the strain gauge, Rg, nominal value. So what are the parameters given? Rg given, gauge factor given, RSH given. So only thing we want to find is how much value of strain is developed in the process, even in the calibration process. So equivalent strain equal to 1 by gauge factor. This is GF according to our norm. This is GF into Rg by Rg plus Rs. Simply substitute these values. We get 1236 micro strain, micrometer per meter. Sorry, micro centimeter per centimeter. Okay, centimeter per centimeter. Say the same example. We have to estimate the shunt resistor necessary to provide an equivalent strain of strain. The strain range is given. For this strain value, what will be the shunt resistor RSH that we have to find. Okay, so use the same formula. The equivalent strain equal to 1 by gauge factor. This is not F, G, gauge factor into Rg by Rg plus Rs. From this expression, if you solve, you will get Rs equal to Rg 1 by epsilon gauge factor, 1 by epsilon gauge factor minus 1. So simply substitute the gauge value 350 ohm, 1 by strain value is 100 micro. So 100 into 10 to the power minus 6 into gauge factor is 2.82 minus 1. If you substitute that, you will get 124 kilo ohm, the RSH, the shunt resistor value equal to 124 kilo ohm. Clear? Then this problem we already discussed in the last class. A bridge is used for strain measurement is having a gauge of 350 ohm and nominal resistance in 1 ohm and the other arms are 350 ohm resistors. A microammeter of coil resistance 150 ohm is used to measure the output. The cage is having a cage factor of 2.04, input excitation 22.5. Find the reading of the ammeter when the strain is 1200 micrometer per meter. You know that from we have to find this discussion already finished in the last class. This is the exact value of result, exact answer for the previous discussion. Okay, you make a note on this. The open circuit, the Thevenin voltage is 13.77 millivolts. The load current, the ammeter display, ammeter indication value is 27.54 in microampere. Okay, with this, let us conclude the discussion on strain measurement.